The throne room was a cathedral of alien grandeur, spires of bone-like metal, banners woven from the silk of titanic worms, and the stench of blood mixed with some acrid, unfamiliar spice. Warriors in black armor lined the chamber, their multi-jointed limbs tensed, weapons humming with lethal energy. Upon the obsidian dais sat the alien king, a monstrous figure with a crown fused into his skull, his 4 eyes glimmering with cruel amusement. Into this den of predators walked a human girl. She was small compared to the armored guards, unarmed, her hands hanging loosely at her sides. The court murmured in disbelief, the sound clicking and hissing in a dozen alien tongues. Humans did not come here. They could not come here. Yet she walked with measured calm, each step echoing off the vaulted ceiling. The king leaned forward, the metallic plates along his spine rattling. "A Deathworlder," he said in a guttural purr, speaking the trade tongue. "And a female at that. Did they send you as a jest?" The girl said nothing, her gaze never leaving his. The king's mandibles flexed into something like a smile. "You bring no weapon, no armor. Are you surrendering? Shall I have you caged or eaten?" She stepped closer, her voice quiet but carrying in the charged air. "I came for your head." Laughter erupted among the guards, a sound like grinding stone. The king's own laugh was deeper, rumbling. "You think yourself capable, little ape? Your bones would snap under my touch." He gestured lazily, and 2 guards detached from the line, moving to intercept her. They towered over her, insectal helmets hiding their faces. One reached out a clawed gauntlet to seize her shoulder. She moved. The movement was almost imperceptible, just a shift in stance, a blur. And then the first guard's helmet rang like a gong as she struck it with the heel of her palm. The alien staggered back, black ichor seeping from cracks in the armor. The second lunged with a hiss, but she sidestepped, caught the alien's arm at the joint, and twisted. There was a sickening pop, followed by a choke scream. The room fell into stunned silence. She hadn't drawn a blade, fired a gun, or even raised her voice. She simply stepped over the fallen guard and kept walking toward the throne. The king rose from his seat now, his height casting a shadow over her. "Impressive," he growled, "but you will not take another step." The floor trembled as 4 more guards advanced, weapons drawn, the air crackling with charged energy. She waited until they were almost upon her, then moved again, faster this time, like lightning given form. She ducked under a plasma blade, her hand snapping up to grab the wielder's wrist. A twist, a pull, and the weapon clattered to ground. She kicked it away, pivoted, and used the alien's body as a shield against the others. Blades bit into armor, not meant to withstand its own kind's weaponry. The guard shrieked, falling, and she was already behind the next attacker, slamming an elbow into the back of its neck. One after another, they dropped, their limbs bent at impossible angles, their weapons useless. She kept moving forward. The king descended the steps of his throne, each impact a deep metallic boom. Up close, he was a mountain of chitin and muscle, his crown fused a ridge bone. "Enough games," he snarled, his lower arms unfurling from beneath his cloak, each tipped with claws the length of knives. "You think you can kill me with your bare hands? I have ruled for centuries. I have slain predators that could swallow your planet whole." She tilted her head slightly, her eyes cold. "Then you should have stayed away from mine." He roared and lunged. The force of his charge cracked the tiles beneath his feet, claws slicing through the air. She moved with uncanny precision, sidestepping just enough for his strike to miss by inches, her hand darting in to strike a nerve cluster at the base of his arm. His limbs spasmed, but he swung with the others. She dropped low, sweeping his legs from under him in a movement so fluid it seemed impossible against a creature so massive. He hit the ground, the impact shaking the room. But he was fast, already twisting to bring his claws to bear again. She darted in close, inside his reach, her hands striking in a rapid flurry. Temple, throat, the soft joint beneath his arm, the fragile spot between his ribs. He howled, grabbing for her, but she was already behind him, climbing onto his back with impossible speed. Her fingers gripped the base of his crown, and with a sudden, brutal motion, she drove the hardened edge of her palm into the seam where crown met skull. Something cracked. He thrashed violently, slamming back against pillars, trying to dislodge her, but she held on like a predator locked onto prey. Then her voice was in his ear, low and final. This is for every life he took. With one last wrenching twist, the fusion point gave way. The king's head came free with a wet, tearing sound, the crown still embedded in it. His massive body stumbled forward 2 steps before collapsing in a heap that shook the chamber. For a long moment, there was no sound. The guards stood frozen, their alien eyes wide, unable to process what had just happened. The human girl dropped the head onto the floor with a dull thud. Black ichor spread in a slow pool. She turned and began walking toward the massive door she had entered through, leaving behind the corpse of a ruler who had thought himself untouchable. One of the guards finally found his voice, a chittering whisper. Deathworlder. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Every soul in that room understood now why humans were feared across the stars. Not for their weapons, not for their technology, but for what they could do when they came with nothing but their will. And when the doors closed behind her, the silence remained, broken only by the slow, rhythmic drip of alien blood from the severed head of their king.